Fire in the hole, let's cook a pie. Stay tuned. Shut up, dog. Hello and welcome once again to my backyard. What I got going on for you today is I've got these thin cut slices of pork loin. This is supposedly center cut pork chops. They're cut very thin, paper thin. And what I'm going to do is slather them down with some you know what, Tsang stir fry oil. And you saw that coming. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know that I use Tsang stir fry oil for everything. It's my binder. It's my go-to binder. I'm going to get it all over these pork chops. These little tiny pork chops. And I got to tell you about this recipe. I got this recipe from a fellow named Jack Townsend. Jack or John Townsend, I'm not sure if it's Jack or John. I'm sorry, Jack or John, whatever your name is. His name is Townsend, and he runs a barbecue channel, not a barbecue channel, he runs a YouTube channel called Townsends. And this guy is a history buff, and he's into food and fashion and stuff from the 17th century, from the time of the American Revolution. So he makes these recipes that come from that time, and he dresses like, you know, a guy in that time, and he does everything like a guy in that time would do. You know, he does this Revolutionary War reenactments and stuff. Anyway, what I'm going to do is put some of this on those pork chops. This is the rub down happy ending food. The reason I'm using this is it has a little bit of sugar in it, and I want the sugar because I want the sweet just a little bit. It's a very light dusting of that on there, and I'm just going to get this on direct heat and get them just get a little smoke and fire on them, because we're not trying to cook them. They're very thin and they would cook in a minute, but all we really want to do is get a little smoke and fire on them, because we're going to put them in a pie, which I'll show you in a little bit. So let me get these cooked up and I'll bring you right back, so stay tuned. I got my pork cooked up, and I've got my cast iron skillet that I buttered it real well, and I've got one of these convenience pie crusts that you get at the grocery store, and it's already made for you. All you got to do is unroll it and stick it in your pie pan, which I'm using this 9-inch cast iron pan for my pie pan, and I buttered it real well so that it will you know, not stick to the pan. And we're going to get that in the pan like that, I hope. Anyway, you know, I'm not a baker, and I hate baking because it's so exacting of a science. Anyway, I got my, yeah, there we go. Not too shabby. I got my pie crust in the pan, and what I'm going to do now is, I need my thing, okay. We're going to layer some pork in the bottom of that. I've got my pork here. It's not really cooked through, but it's got a little bit of fire and smoke on it. I'm going to lay some of that pork in there. That's the bottom layer of the pie. Come on now. Come on, don't do this to me. All right, let's get the pork. The bottom layer is pork. There you go. You see that pork's not cooked all the way through. There we go. That's the pork layer, one pork layer. Then we've got some Granny Smith apples that I cut up, sliced up, and I got them in water so that they won't turn brown. So what I got to do is now that they're all wet, I got to dry them off as I put them in the pie. So I got to move this over to the side a little bit, get my paper towels over here. So I got to get my apple slices, get them off of the out of the water, get them on that paper towel and let them dry off a little bit. You don't want them to be wet. The only reason I put them in there is to keep them from turning brown while I'm doing this cooking. So let's get them dried up a little bit on that paper towel. See, they're already starting to turn brown. I'm going to get some on there on top of that pork like this. Arrange them nicely. Can you see that? I think so. Get that on top of that pork like so. Pork and apple pie, what could be better? I can't wait to stick my teeth into this thing. This is going to be awesome. We're putting a layer of apples on top of the pork inside the pie crust. Get some more apples. Get them dried off. You don't want the apples to be too wet. Get them in there like that. Dry them off a little bit as I go. I don't know, that's really not enough apples. I want, you know, a layer of apples. Let me get some more. You can see that those puppies have started to turn brown already. There we go. That's not quite enough apples, I don't think. I want to put some more in there. I want to get a good layer of apples in there. I want to use up all I got, maybe. I don't know. Can't decide. I'm trying to decide. Let me, all right. Let me get my apples dried off. So that's most of 2 Granny Smith apples that I put in there. Okay, so what we got to do now is on top of the apples, we got some a little bit of nutmeg. I guess you can't see that. I'm just going to sprinkle a pinch of nutmeg on top of the apples, just enough so that you know it's there. Nutmeg. That's good stuff. Let's close that up so it doesn't spill. And then I've got some cinnamon powder, which of course we're going to sprinkle some cinnamon on there because, you know, apples and cinnamon, you know, that's just the way it goes. But let's get some cinnamon on there so you can see it, so you know it's there. There you go. That looks like enough cinnamon, doesn't it? And then we've got some brown sugar. Now remember, I used that sweet rub on the pork because this is a sweet recipe. It's kind of a savory sweet pie. But we're going to drop some brown sugar on top of that. Brown sugar. How come you taste so good? Don't sing, Root Boy. Never, ever should you sing. Okay. Brown sugar. Can't help it. Can't help it. He can't help himself. Okay, now we go back on top of that with the rest of the pork. We got some more pork, another layer of pork on top of that. Apples. So you've got apples sandwiched in between 2 layers of pork. And I have just enough pork to do this, it looks like. Looks like that package of pork was just enough to do the job on this. I got one more piece kind of left over. I guess I'll just jam him right there. Okay. So that's another layer of pork on top. I've got some butter. I'm going to drop some butter on there. A little bit of butter. A couple of pats of butter here and there. You know how it goes. Butter is good for you, right? It's like bacon. Butter. Just about, I don't know, maybe one more piece of butter. If I could get it off the knife. There it goes. Okay. Now we got some butter on there. Okay, next thing we're going to do, got a little bit of white wine. Now the recipe calls for like a cup of white wine, but I think that's a lot. So I'm just gonna douse it a little bit with some white wine. Not even sure why you need this in there, but there you go. Got some white wine in there. Gonna take the other wrapping of dough, if I can, without wrecking it. Unfold it on top of that. And I don't know about being able to close that off, you know, like you would a pie, but I'm going to do my best. And it said to get this room temperature, but I don't think it said to get this grill temperature. So yeah, it's a little hard to work with, but I'm getting it. Here we go. Here we go with the top layer of dough. This might be more like an open-faced apple pie sandwich when I get done. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to close that off real well. I'm going to do my best to pinch it off like that. That don't look too bad, does it? Almost looks like a pie crust, doesn't it? It's not exactly, you know, what you think of when you see a pie crust. It's, you know, if I was a baker, this would be really pretty, but I'm not. I am not a baker. I don't do this. I don't like it. You'll see what I'm doing though, okay? Alright, so I've got that pinched off pretty nicely. I'm going to poke a few holes in it to let the steam get out, just like you would any pie. Poke a few holes for the steam. Probably should have made a nice artistic pattern with my holes, but I'm just not that, you know, I'm not that kind of a baker kind of a guy. Anyway, there you go. So that's what I got to do with that, is put that on the Charbroil Commander, which I've got coming up to temperatures at about 350 right now. I'm going to put this in the Charbroil Commander because that thing does baking real well. And we're going to bake that for about, it's going to take about 45 minutes to an hour to get that cooked up. Let me get it on the Charbroil Commander. I'll show you what that looks like. And then we'll cook this thing. And then we'll come back and take a taste, drink a beer, and eat some pie. Stay tuned. Alright, the pie is on the Charbroil Commander. I'm going to shut the lid on that. It can get up to 400 degrees, I don't care, for about 45 minutes to an hour. So we'll come back and check it. Try not to let it burn. And we'll try to get that thing cooked up so we can take a taste and drink a beer. So stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, the hardest part of this has been waiting for that thing to cool down enough to eat it. There's the Frosty Root Boy mug. Move that out of the way a little bit. Here's today's beer. This is Prairie Artisan Ale's Phantasmagoria Double India Pale Ale. Don't know too much about this beer. I know that Prairie Artisan Ales is a well-respected brewing company, and I think it's going to be a hazy, delicious IPA. Let's find out, Rob. Let's pour it out, Rob. Oh yes, it is a very, very hazy, very delicious looking double IPA. Double IPAs usually put my butt in the dirt. What's the ABV on this? 8%. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Not too shabby. Rob, what do you think? Prairie Artisan Ales. Let's sniff off of it. Oh man, it smells great. Let's take a taste, Rob. Get the dog ready. This is a pie the dog's gonna like. It's got meat in it. Wow, that's a world-class beer right there. Delicious hazy double IPA. But enough of that. I gotta get some of this apple pork pie in my mouth. Look at this. I want a piece of that apple too. Look at that thing. It came out excellent. I can't wait to eat this. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. It's like the best. It's like the best. I can't explain it. It's like the best of both worlds. Apple pie and pork pie. It's delicious. Wow. Babies, I highly recommend this one. Let me tell you what. You got your meat and you got your fruit. Can't be beat. This is awesome. I can't stop eating it. Look at that piece of pork right there. Kind of need a knife with that. And then you got your apples. You know, apples and pork work well together. Probably be uncouth of me to eat that whole piece, wouldn't it? Take a knife, and the pork is very tender. Let me get that in my mouth. Shut up, dog. Wow. That's awesome. Hey, you know what I always say? My mouth full. If you like this crap, please go down here and subscribe. If you don't, if you do or you don't, go up in the iCard and visit my friend Dave, my new friend Dave, who runs a YouTube channel called Outdoor Kitchen. And Dave is a cool dude. He's got a bunch of great recipes. He's got he's built an outdoor kitchen, and he's got an outdoor herb garden that you got to look at. Go check out Dave, Outdoor Kitchen rather. Subscribe to me. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers. When we get to 10,000 subscribers, we're going to have a big giveaway. You're going to get your chance to get some Root Boy rub and some other stuff. Trust me, you're going to like it. So anyway, that's my video. You know what I always say, come back next week. We may not cook anything good, but we will drink a beer. This is a world-class ale right here. Phantasmagoria from the Prairie Artisan Ale Brewing Company. Yeah, go check that out, Rob. Okay, babies. We'll see you next week. Bye.